Item SCP-445-CA. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-445-CA is to be kept in a heavy-duty steel chrome safe, standard for items of its classification. During testing of SCP-445-CA with D-Class personnel, Mobile Task Force MTF-Phi-7 Game Sharks is to be on hand at all times to prevent catastrophic containment breach. No electronic devices capable of running video games, no matter how simple, are permitted within 15 meters of SCP-445-CA or its containment chamber to minimize risk of unwitting activation of SCP-445-CA's anomalous effects. Description: in its neutral state, SCP-445-CA is a small gray cartridge for the Nintendo 64 video game console. There are minor physical differences between SCP-445-CA and standard Nintendo-produced cartridges that are consistent with unlicensed reproduction cartridges, made for the console after its discontinuation. Plastic is free of fading and discoloration. Label shows no signs of peeling or tearing. Screws are Phillips head rather than tri-prong. Minimal scuffing from insertion and removal from the console, etc. According to the label, the title of the game is Super Mario 64 Chaos Edition. The label on the cartridge is nearly identical to the original label of Super Mario 64, save for the additional 3D rendered text reading Chaos Edition beneath the title. When isolated from computers and electronics, SCP-445-CA is entirely safe. Only the presence of an electronic device capable of running video games causes a reaction from SCP-445-CA. This includes consoles and handhelds released prior to the N64, smartphones, and some calculators. When such a device is present, it will transform into whatever form will allow it to easily interface with the platform, discs of various sizes, cartridges of different shapes, USB drives, etc. When SCP-445-CA is inserted into the console or other device, and the console is then turned on, it will immediately load the title screen of what appears to be a standard game of Super Mario 64. This will occur regardless of the load time normally taken by a console to boot up a game or operating system. At this point, SCP-445-CA is considered active, and MTF-Phi-7 should be on standby. On startup, SCP-445-CA appears to run similarly to the original Super Mario 64, with major discrepancies typically not appearing until after the player starts a new save file or loads a pre-existing file. As the player begins to take control of Mario, however, the game will begin to create glitches, hacks, or cheats that may hinder or help the player's progress. Roughly, different cheat codes have been observed, with up to being active at any given time. The various cheat codes can last for arbitrary periods of time, ranging from seconds or until the console is shut off. Beyond its ability to run on nearly any electronic device available, SCP-445-CA's most dangerous anomalous property is how it reflects applied cheat codes onto the player's body. This effect is reversed if the console is shut off. See Incident Log 445-01. If the player then turns off the console, this change will be made permanent until the game is turned back on and another cheat code is applied. While SCP-445-CA can apply numerous cheat codes to the game's code in a given play session, only one will affect the player at a time. There appears to be no priority given to any one cheat code in affecting the player. Testing Log. A log of known cheats and their effects on their real-world equivalents is made available below. All tests were performed with an official Nintendo 64 console with one controller plugged in. Subjects were instructed to play as they pleased. Subject D1218. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Level textures appeared corrupted and garbled, displaying numerous colors and pixelated shapes that appear nowhere else in the game. Effect on subject. D1218 reports vivid hallucinations of the test chamber walls becoming scrambled, like colorful television static. When the cheat code did not deactivate after 20 minutes of playing, subject requested to take a break to wait out a headache the visions had given him. Request granted. Subject D1218. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Mario began levitating and moving forward, as if he had touched an invisible Koopa shell and was surfing around on it. Effect on subject. D1218 began to slowly levitate forward, but remained in a seated position. Subject did not appear to notice this until researchers pointed it out to him. Shortly after, D1218 accidentally steered Mario into a wall, causing him to fall off the shell, and D1218 fell to the floor. Subject D1218. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Mario engaged in a conversation with an NPC. Rather than tipping down slightly as the animation normally would, Mario's head continued looking down until it clipped into his body and began rotating around in a complete circle. This animation continued until the conversation ended. Effect on subject. D1218's head began to. Subject D6030. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Mario's size was increased to nearly 5 times his initial height. Despite this, the player's hitbox and hurtbox remained the same, as did the size of their shadow. Effect on subject. D6030 spontaneously increased in size, hitting his head on the ceiling of the testing chamber. Height before demanifestation of cheat code recorded at 3.5 meters, roughly 11.5 feet. Due to his increase in size, D6030 had some difficulty continuing to play with a controller that remained at its normal size. Subject returned to normal within 10 minutes of continued play. Subject D6030. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Mario began to fly backwards at an uncontrollable rate, only stopping when he hit a wall. Effect on subject. D6030 was launched backwards at speeds clocked at kilometers per hour, killing the subject on impact with the rear wall of the testing room. Subject D9520. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. The in-game camera adopted a wide-angle lens, slightly distorting the game's visuals. Camera also pulled back farther than it would typically be able to move. Cheat lasted for 5 minutes. Effect on subject. D9520 reported feelings of extreme vertigo and motion sickness. Her visual perception seemed to have altered to match that of the camera's warped perspective. Subject D9520. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. All pitched instrument samples making up the soundtrack were replaced with Mario's falling voice clip, resulting in screams of various pitches and durations taking the place of every instrument. Effect on subject. D9520 reported that every sound she heard was just screaming, but pitched a bit. Subject refused to continue playing and required psychiatric counseling before being cleared for further testing. Subject D5109. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Mario's character model was replaced by that of a signpost model. All in-game movements were still available. Effect on subject. After over a minute of no change, D5109 exclaimed, "I feel stiff," before his entire body was suddenly replaced with a signpost matching the appearance of the one in-game. Text on the signpost was identical to that of the signpost in the area outside Peach's castle. Princess Toadstool's castle is just ahead. Press A to jump, Z to crouch, and B to punch. Read a sign, or grab something. Press B again to throw something you're holding. Subject D2025. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Mario's health instantly dropped to 0, killing him. Effect on subject. D2025 immediately entered cardiac arrest. All attempts at resuscitation were unsuccessful. Subject D0825. Cheats applied by SCP-445-CA. Effect on subject. Notes: MTF-Phi-7 should be on hand at all times for any further testing. Now that we know that things can come out of the game, we've got to make sure that we can put them back in. Dr. Mushroom. Incident Report 44501. Dr. activated a Nintendo 64 console with SCP-445-CA inserted. The demo reel that normally plays on the title screen began to play. Before the controller had even been touched, a cheat code was activated that caused Mario to flatten out. This instantaneously affected Dr., causing his body to compress and putting him through a great deal of discomfort. A nearby researcher, attempting to help the distressed Doctor, turned off the console. However, the code was still active at the time that the console powered down, causing Doctor's body to remain in this compressed state. Reactivating SCP-445-CA did not reverse the effects of the cheat code. The alteration seemed to be permanent, and Dr. shortly died of his wounds. Notes: in all future tests, the D-Class subject will be required to turn on the console and pick up the controller themselves to minimize potential injury to research staff. Dr. Mushroom. Document 445-A. A short, handwritten note was found with SCP-445-CA at the time of its recovery in New York. I heard you had a blast with the original release, so I thought I'd put together a little bonus for my biggest fan. I hope you enjoy it. Kaze Emmanuar. Currently on Persons of Interest list. Relation to or knowledge of other SCPs currently unknown.